Could we ask the school board candidates to come up at this time? Our apologies for the delay, but if you're a Spectrum user, you might know that Spectrum has been in and out today, so our apologies. Thank you for coming tonight. If you picked up a program tonight, you'll see the outline of the program as to how the flow we're going to go. We're going to start with the school board this evening, move on to our mayoral candidates, and from there move on to our city council candidates. This session this evening is a candidate forum, and it is here to meet the candidates and to learn more about them and why they want to serve your community. So this is not a debate setting. This is just to learn more about them and what's passionate to them and why they're passionate about serving Jefferson community and residents. So if you follow the format, we'll follow the format the best we can. We will have some options for a little bit of participation, but again, when you're asking questions, questions please are directed to the panel, not to an individual candidate. All questions are directed for the entire panel. Thank you.
Alrighty, that is Lori Strachey. She's the Chamber Director here for the Jefferson Area Chamber of Commerce. So we appreciate the Chamber helping out with this evening and getting this forum ready to go. We're going to start out with a simple one. Each candidate, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you're interested in this position.
Hello, thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Amy Hudson. I am a lifelong resident of Jefferson and some familiar faces. Is it closer? Is that better? Can you hear me? Amy Hudson. I don't know if you heard that. I've lived in Jefferson my whole life. I live here with my husband, Chris, my son, Noah, who's a senior in high school this year, and my son, Charlie, who's a sophomore in high school. We also, in our house right now, have a foreign exchange student from Turkey this year. We've had, this is our third year hosting a foreign exchange student, and it's been an amazing thing for us to do as a family. I have an interesting background and perspective that I think would make me a good candidate for the school board. I graduated from UW-Whitewater with a degree in education. I taught high school biology and chemistry and kind of needed to meld some of my interests and passions. I decided to go to veterinary school at UW-Madison. I graduated with a degree in veterinary medicine. I worked at a clinic north of Oconomowoc for about 9 years. And 14 years ago, we opened a clinic in Johnson Creek. I'm a doctor there and the owner of the clinic. So I have a few different perspectives that I can bring to this school board. Both of my children have been in Jefferson School District since 4K. Like I said, my son will be graduating in 3 months. Keep it together here. And my other son is a sophomore. So, you know, I've followed them through the years. We've made amazing connections with administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, and I think very, very highly of the Jefferson School District. And, you know, the perspectives I can bring are, as a former educator, I know the support and the needs that educators have, hoping to, you know, work toward that aspect. Appearance, obviously, a business owner. You know, I've worked on balancing budgets and management opportunities that I've had. And the other aspect is I'm a taxpayer in the district as well. So I want to be cognizant of how we use our finances and be respectful of that for all of the community members.
All right, thank you, Amy. Next up, we have Matthew Peltier, who is a current member of our school board.
My name is Matt Peltier. I'm not a lifelong Jefferson resident. I actually grew up in Alaska, and much different school district than what they have here. It's big city type, even though it is Alaska. It sounds a little odd. Lived there until I was 19, and then I escaped when I joined the Marine Corps. Did 4 years in the Marine Corps, honorable discharge, and then I went and I finished up my college degree. Moved back to Alaska, not expecting to be there for very long, and I wound up getting into law enforcement. Loved the career, spent 12 years in law enforcement total, but during that time, I got married, had a daughter, felt like changing careers, and my wife at the time had an opportunity to move back to Helenville and help run the family farm. She is a lifelong citizen of the area. She also went to Jefferson for all of her schooling. But we moved here. Since then, we have split up. But my daughter does go to school here. She started in 4K out in Sullivan, and she's currently in the middle school, doing great. And as mentioned, I am currently on the school board. I've been on for 6 years so far. The past 2 years I've been serving as president of the school board. It's given me a lot of opportunity to dive deep into community issues. It's been a lot of fun, very enlightening. I enjoy going to the education conferences each year. I did skip this last year just because a couple of reasons, but basically a little bit of it was getting redundant. So I think a good pattern now that I'm a little more comfortable with it is every other year for that education conference. But it's a great opportunity. Currently, now that I'm no longer in law enforcement, currently in finances, so I do a lot of personal finance.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Lisa Fox is the third candidate, and there are 2 open seats. She's not here this evening, and we will continue to reach out to her and try to get her answers posted on the chamber website. I'm assuming the school district will be able to post those as well. Turning to the first question that was submitted prior to this evening, I'm going to go ahead and read this and then give you 2 minutes a chance to respond to it, and then we'll open it up for the floor. So the question was, currently each elementary schools educate K through 5th grade classes drawing from their neighborhoods, but there have been some discussions in regards to refiguring the grade levels, making East Elementary a lower grade, K through 12, and West Elementary, not K through 12, K through 2nd grade, and West Elementary for the upper elementary grades, 3rd grade through 5th grade. Students would need to be transported from one side of town to the other based on their grade level. Please share with us whether you would support this change and why.
I know that this plan has been used in the past. I think the early 90s, the district kind of felt this out, and it really wasn't successful at that time. So I know that there are concerns about the transportation issues and having children at multiple schools. That's definitely a real concern. I also think there is some benefit to having students develop those relationships with people they see in their school and following their small classes throughout the K-5 program. There are also, on the other side, potentially some benefits of splitting the 2. But ultimately, I think the decision needs to be based on what's best for the children and the families of Jefferson. So that's kind of how I've been looking at that. I think that the discussion that was happening toward that end was more prior to the 2022 referendum. Both of the East Elementary and West Elementary have been renovated since then. And I don't know that they've been renovated toward that end. So I think they've been designed and updated with the idea of keeping them as K-5 schools.
Thank you, Amy. No, Matt?
I don't support the idea of splitting up the schools that way. That whole experience of being able to go K through 5 in one school, it's a great experience for the students. What I'm afraid of, though, is that the reality is the economy is going to force our hands on it. There is that aspect of what's best for the kids, but there's also that community concern. People want to make sure their tax dollars are being used wisely. Frankly, the budgeting from the state has not been keeping up with CPI since 2009, and so money's tight. That's why we had to go to a referendum, and we're being very careful how we use that money. But reality is, as budgets, as we have declining enrollment here in the district, we have less and less students coming to the schools, we might have to reconfigure. It's on the table. I won't say it's off the table. And I certainly don't support it, but reality is we might need to do that. I will say one thing that we are, just as a board, sorry, I probably shouldn't speak for the board. For me personally, what I'm hoping out for is there is some residential area, new residential complexes going up. I'm praying that we get some good families in there that have students come to Jefferson and really help with those enrollment numbers. And then we don't have to worry about that anymore. Then things start looking on the upside, and we don't have to worry about that. We can keep them in K through 5 schools.
All right, now we'll transition over to anybody in the audience that wants to ask. I'll come out and visit you with this fun little microphone so they can keep that fun microphone. Anybody, any other questions for any of our school board?
I'm just wondering how that would save money by dividing up the schools differently.
Sure. So, my only concern is, will you speak on the topic as well?
I can, but
Okay. Sorry, they mentioned we weren't supposed to address a specific, it's supposed to be for the board. I'm happy to answer that question though. I'll just take 4th grade for example. When you have less and less students at one school, you might have less, and so you could lay off a teacher, or you might need to keep that teacher to keep 2 different 4th grade classes at each school. However, if they were all in the same building, they might fit into 3 classrooms instead of 4. So then with a 1 teacher reduction, not just salary, but now you're also talking benefits such as healthcare expenses, the retirement expenses, the extra room that's got to be heated, etc. You start saving on some of those expenses by being able to reduce the teachers by consolidating it all into 1 class. Pluses and minuses, either way. Again, not a huge fan of it for the kids. Did you want to comment on that?
I agree.
Okay.
The research I found.
All right, next question coming up.
I don't mean this to be a hot topic or anything, but in our current climate in the country, right, the conversation of equity, inclusion, diversity, all of those things, right? And I've heard you say the kids are what's most important. So what is something maybe that's currently happening, or what do you have in mind for issues with students of disabilities, gender questions, you know, like LGBTQ, all of those things, which it's not a debate here, it's right, it's our kids matter. And if they have those feelings, whether we agree with that or not, what is the school board in your position able to do, and what is currently doing to support those students who we need to listen to because their voices also matter in who they are?
Big topic, hot topic for sure. And sorry, I thought reasons for joining the school board was going to be a second question. So this is one of the reasons why I joined the school board is because there is a lot of crazy stuff in the news, and I wanted to be able to make sure my daughter's going to a good school and trying to avoid a lot of that crazy stuff. I know that, one, there's a lot of federal laws under Title IX and ADA compliancy that we follow. The school board's very cognizant of those, and we follow those as best we can. On top of Title IX, we also have district courts that make decisions that we have to abide by. We also have legislation that makes decisions we have to abide by. So it's not just what's up to the school board. As far as ADA compliance, I think we're all good on that. As far as some of the transgender issues that have been in the news lately, frankly, personally, I don't support that. But at the same time, you have the reality of Whitaker versus Kenosha School District in the 7th District Court. And they came up with their decision that runs a little contrary, and it's interesting looking at the battle between the court and executive orders and Title IX, et cetera, but it runs a little bit different than what Title IX says. Then you also have the district courts, which we don't fall under, but the 11th District Court has an opposite ruling of Whitaker versus Kenosha that says, no, gender assignment is assigned at birth and there's no changes for that. So now we're kind of in this limbo. Maybe somebody will be able to take it up to the state court and make a decision, or I'm sorry, the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court can make a ruling on what it's supposed to be. So while we're waiting on that, we abide by Whitaker versus Kenosha. Is it ideal? No, I'm sure quite a few people object to it. However, as a school district, how hard do we want to push that? We're already on a tight budget. Do we want to be the ones forking the lawyer bills to take it up to the Supreme Court? we just passed a referendum to keep the operation going. I don't think the community is going to want to spend money on the lawyer bills to fight Whitaker versus Kenosha and take it to the Supreme Court. So for now, that's what we go by, is the law there. We do have attorneys that we keep in contact and we run our policies through to make sure it all abides. And so we do work on balancing that out.
Can you explain Whitaker versus, just so if we're not familiar with that case?
Oh, sure. So Whitaker was a student or a parent. Of course, because they're minor, it goes under the parent's name, acting for the student. It was a transgender student that went to school in Kenosha. Forgive me, off the top of my head, I cannot remember if it was male to female or female to male in that. However, they wanted to use the restroom that wasn't their birth gender. And so the school said, no, you have to use the restroom from your birth gender. Then they took the lawsuit to the school, and the 7th District Court ruled that, no, they can use the restroom that they want to use, regardless of gender at birth. And I am not an attorney, so I want to throw that one out there.
So can I just, now that I know what it is, can you tell me then what is your position on that? You believe that was a good decision or not?
No, I do not think that was a good decision.
Okay. I just
yeah.
wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Me personally, I object to it. Counseling, they need help, they need services, absolutely. However, I disagree with that decision that the court made. And, but we're going to abide by it because it's the district. Sorry, before we dive into too much deeper, I want to do you want to comment on any of this? I don't want to. I'm happy to follow.
So I feel that every child deserves to be treated with respect and kindness, and I think it's extremely important that our children feel safe in our schools, regardless of gender, ethnicity, social emotional problems, socioeconomical backgrounds. All of those things are dealt with in the same way. Whether people support transgender youth or not, they exist. They're out there. And they deserve to have a safe place to feel welcomed and taken care of. I have worked with many people in the past that have had to fight these battles. And it's heartbreaking, to be honest with you. That's my take on it. I think that we need to fight for these kids and give them a safe space to feel welcomed and cared for.
Does the district provide those resources, whether we agree with the laws or the whatever you stated? Does the Jefferson School District currently support students like that and provide them the counseling and care regardless of whatever lawsuit you were just talking about?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do.
Cool.
And again, I support the counseling. I support the help. I just don't agree with the court's position on that.
Thank you.
All righty, next question coming up.
My question has to do with enrollment. I believe one of you, I think it was you, said that enrollment has declined. And what accounts for that? Is it because of vouchers, of people deciding to take vouchers, or is it because the population of students has declined? And how much, regarding the vouchers, how much has that declined the revenue for the school district?
Sure. Okay. I don't want to hog the mic. I want to be fair. Do you want first on this or shall I? Okay. All right. So why do we have declining enrollment? A couple of things. First of all, people ain't making babies like they used to. Quite frankly, Baird studies show there's just not as many people having kids nowadays as they used to. A whole lot of socioeconomic reasons into that. But it's a nationwide trend, and it's especially common here in Wisconsin. We're not the only district facing this. In fact, the only growing district, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember the percentages off the top of my head. Right around 70 or 78% of the districts in Wisconsin are facing declining enrollment. Dane County, Milwaukee, those sort of districts, they are growing right now. Most of the others are shrinking, just like we are. So, lack of babies being made. Also, there is a bit from the voucher. I think those numbers have been pretty steady. I'd have to double check on that, don't hold me to that. The vouchers have been pretty steady here in Jefferson. I don't know there's been a whole lot added to that recently. But yeah, that's the main reasons for the plan.
How much does that cost the school district annually?
I do not know off the top of my head. Ryan Band, our business director, does an excellent job and would absolutely have that number for me. In fact, he'd probably have it off the top of his head. However, I'm sorry, I don't have it. If you want to get with me afterwards, I'll make sure to get the info to you, but sorry, I don't know. To be fair, you want to tackle this question?
I do have pretty significant concerns about the voucher system in the state of Wisconsin and throughout the country. It definitely is reducing the revenue that's coming into our public schools and allowing that money to be used for private school use. You know, I kind of think of it as we have this pot of money to be used for education in the state, and if we're dividing this pot of money amongst the public schools, the religious schools, the Montessori schools, you know, whatever type of school is being constructed, you know, our tax dollars then are spread much thinner across that realm. You know, we have to pay for all of those buildings, all of those staff, all of the maintenance for those places. So, you know, public education was designed to create a broad spectrum education to, you know, produce adults that can function and be successful in the world. There certainly are needs and preferences for families and learners that, you know, maybe aren't met at the public school level. But I just don't know how the general public and our tax dollars can support every different version of education in the state.
May I add, I don't mean to blow up the format of the forum. May I add one more thing on top of that? Okay, thank you. Amy's very right on that. This money being divvied up between parochial schools, Montessori schools, etc. I have two problems with that. One is those schools can choose which students to take. So there's students that are more high needs or high demand, and they use a bigger portion of the budget. They don't take those students. They take the students that are cheaper to educate. And so then those students are left with the school district that is now dealing with a smaller pot of money in which to educate those students. The second part is that's taxpayer money. Taxpayer money within the school district, we have public board meetings. People in the community can come to board members and say, hey, why is my money being spent this way? Why is my money going towards this? I've never heard of a board meeting at any of the private schools around here. I don't know where our tax dollars are going when it goes to those private schools. So that's my two issues with the voucher program that the state currently has. And then on top of that, I think I might have mentioned it once more, but I turn that screw every time I can. The legislatures have not increased public education spending to CPI levels, which is what they promised, since 2009. So again, as much as you can talk to your state reps, please have them do something about the funding here for public education. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for our board candidates? No? Okay. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much, Amy. I appreciate it. We will now transition to the mayoral section of the forum. As stated earlier, we are live streaming on Facebook Live, but due to internet connectivity, in case we do lose internet connectivity, we are also recording. We have Jefferson Community TV here this evening. We'd like to thank them, and we will be posting their version of the recording. I'd also like to do a quick shout out to Joe Reeves at Iron Video Productions for loaning us his equipment this evening so that we had the ability to live stream and record this evening. So if the mayoral candidates then would please step to the front.
All All right, so we'll start with the same first two questions, but we'll get these two separated this time. In terms of timing, we are 4 minutes ahead of schedule, despite 20 minutes behind schedule to start, so that's good, that's good. All right, so the first question, each candidate, please introduce yourselves, share a little bit about yourself. Looks like Melinda's going first.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Melinda Perez. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. I'm so excited to see so many people here. It means quite a lot to me to know that there's so much passion out there as well. So, I'm a Wisconsin native. I was born in Madison. I've traveled all throughout southern Wisconsin. A little bit of time in Knoxville, Tennessee. Really not much, nothing to really talk about. But ultimately, Wisconsin brought me back home. I've graduated from New Glarus, went to MATC. I did some courses online with Phoenix. It's all lots of fun. Very into business, so that's mostly what I studied. I am a current Scouts den mother, so I work with a lot of the younger boys here in town. And we do all that we can together. I am a Jefferson sign vault business owner. I'm the owner and operator right on Main Street here in town. I've owned that business for about 2 years now, and I couldn't have picked anything more perfect for myself. I mean, it was so beautiful the way everything landed together, and I've been really enjoying teaching classes and getting to know more of our community. I join lots and lots of chamber networking events, as I am a chamber ambassador as well. And in those, I've learned to network with just about everybody in town. So it's really great to see so many faces, especially being on Main Street. I am also the board president for Friends of Goat Island here in town. We've been having lots of fun with that. And we love to give back to the community and the kids. So that's another way that I've been able to connect and root our family here. And I had one more. That's what I had bullet points for. That's okay. So I really love being around here. We spend all our time in the community and do our best. I am a member of Emmanuel United Methodist Church. That was my last bullet point. I can't believe I forgot that. But I love my church family. They're really incredible people, and we always have a good time. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm looking forward to some fun questions tonight. Thank you so much.
Next is Mayor Dale Opperman.
Good evening. My name is Dale Opperman. I've been a resident of Jefferson my whole life. My wife Carlene and I chose to make Jefferson our home, to raise our family here, because it's a safe place to live. Provides great schools for our kids, and it's a great location near many local amenities, because we get to live where other people come to vacation. I chose to serve the citizens of Jefferson after being encouraged to do so by many friends and mentors, some of whom served the city before me. I enjoy community service. It's an opportunity for me to contribute to society in a positive way. Community service is my passion. I learned that when I was honored to be a delegate at Badger Boys State in high school, and as a member of the Jefferson JCs back in the 80s and 90s. Some of you might remember that service group. I also learned that when I was served on the Jefferson Fire Department in the 1980s. I continue that today through my service on the Jefferson Live Music Foundation, providing family-friendly events in downtown Jefferson, like the concerts in the park and the Kikkoman Cookout. Like Melinda, I am very passionate about the Goat Fest and Friends of Goat Island, having served as one of the founding members of both. I would like to consider going into why we would like to serve. All right. Well, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. The next question. Please explain why you want to serve the community of Jefferson and its residents.
I don't want to lose my spot this time, so I'm going to keep my bullet points handy. With everything that I've been involved here with in Jefferson, I definitely see the love and the community support that all of our volunteers have here. I've seen numerous organizations that are 100% volunteer-led, and I understand the burden that puts on everybody and the stress that it can really have. So I've spent quite a lot of time networking and working together with a lot of these groups in hopes that we can work as a whole community. And with all of that, I've seen ups and downs, and I love that the direction that Jefferson is taking, but I do feel that it could be a lot more transparent and a lot more communicative and a lot more togetherness. So my goal is not for me, but for you, to be an open ear and a voice for you, for the city. I would like to see less small group conversations and more involvement with all of you showing up at these wonderful events to speak the questions that you have and hopefully to get the responses that you would like to hear. And if you don't get those responses, I'd like to help work towards resolving them and give you an opportunity to really be fully involved in the community. So that is why I'm running, and I'm hoping that I can continue to serve Jefferson and be here for all of you.
Thank you. I'd like to continue to serve the citizens of Jefferson, to continue the positive momentum that we've generated here over the last 16 years, specifically the last 5 years. We weathered the great flood of 2008 and the loss of longtime businesses like Schweiger Industries, Ford Textiles, Stoppenbach Meats, later Tyson, Laddish Malt, and Briggs & Stratton. We've rebuilt the economy of Jefferson with the expansion of Nestle Purina and the addition of Palermo's, Astelin Bio, Kikkoman Foods, and soon the coming of Supremo Cheese and Onego Bio. I've met with the owners of each of these companies and built great personal relationships with their owners like Giacomo and Angelo Faluco, Yuzaburo and Sam Mogi, Gilberto and Philip Villaseñor, and Maya, Chris, and Arnie from Onego. That's been helpful for Jefferson to establish those relationships. They know us, they trust us, and they know that they're welcome here and that we will support their businesses. Over the years, I've also had the opportunity to meet and establish personal relationships with people like John Miller, the Secretary of Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, Elmer Moore, the CEO of Wisconsin Economic Development Association for Housing, Christina Boardman, the Secretary of Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and even Governor Tony Evers, as well as Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, and Senators Tammy Baldwin and Ron Johnson, just to name a few. Those relationships come back to help Jefferson. We also work well with officials from Jefferson County, like Steve Natz, the County Board Chairman, Michael Lucky, County Administrator, and Deb Reinbold, the President of Thrive Economic Development. I will continue to work hard to develop relationships with businesses and government officials who can help Jefferson grow and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. All right, 3 questions were submitted via online, and so we're going to go through those questions now. Jefferson is being challenged with growth. The decisions you will make, or you will be making in the office, will affect those of us who live here in dynamic ways. How important is it for you to engage the public in those decisions, and what means will you use in an attempt to be transparent and allow residents to give their input and visions for the future of Jefferson?
I'm so glad that this question was asked, as transparency is my personal biggest point. Honesty is everything, and transparency is number one. So a few things that I would really love to see implemented to help with the transparency and to get the community more involved is better platforms to access the information that you're looking for. Not everybody uses Facebook, not everybody uses the internet, period. So there are lots of ways that we can still continue to reach out. Forum boards, the local library, obviously is a great way to get information out there. But on top of that, I have actually a whole page ready of things that I would really like to see happen and to help the city. I don't need that. To help the city get their points across. So one of the things that I would really like to see as far as our website is a better communication platform. So instead of trying to read through a 100-page PDF to find the information that you're looking for, you should be able to search a keyword and just click on a simple little link and have graphs and visual aids and accessibility to where your tax dollars are going. Wanting to know what's going on with the water plant, we should be able to click on something and it just tell us all the way down what's going to be happening, what's going to happen next, what steps the city is going to be following. So there are so many different platforms other than just Facebook, the city website, and I don't know, any other electronic form. It's all about how you structure it. Our city could very easily have an app where you can find all of your permits and documents and anything that you need to fill out or search. Those things are widely available. As a matter of fact, you can create one on Canva. I don't know if anybody here uses Canva, but it's my friend. It's very easy to work around, and with tools like that and even better tools available, there's no reason why we shouldn't already even have that in place. So accessibility to information is going to be one of my key points. Also with our city council meetings, yes, they are streamed on Jefferson Community Television, but they could also, like tonight, be easily live streamed on Facebook, automatically saves, shares, and posts to the profile. Same with YouTube. There's so many different ways that we should all be able to access this information that are just not in place, and there's really no reason for that, especially with today's technology. So transparency is a really big thing for me, and I have a lot of very strong ideas that I would really love to help implement within the city.
Thank you, Melinda. Those are some really good ideas, and I really wish you were presently serving on the city council. Transparency in local government is very important. We engage the public in decision-making processes by providing accurate information in a timely manner and by offering the opportunity for public comment and input at every city meeting. We have been doing that for a long way, and we could definitely do a better job as we move as we are in the 21st century and we have different tools now. One person is not going to make that decision. We don't make those, we make decisions as a group, and we make decisions as a staff together with our elected officials. So those suggestions are very well put and well taken. One example of, well, we do listen to the public, lest people, as I said, public input is very important to us. We work for you. I work for all of you, whether you like me or not. And what, you know, the citizens of Jefferson really are the people who own Jefferson. They are the shareholders here. So you are who we report to. We listen to the public and we share the input. We take the public's input into account when we make decisions on their behalf. One example of that is when I made the difficult decision to break a tie vote on the reconsideration of the size and scope of the playground equipment that was proposed for Stoutenbach Park. And I recognize some of you in the audience here tonight from those discussions. By voting to send that proposal back to the Park and Rec Commission for reconsideration, the neighbors who voiced their opinions were ultimately able to get their way with a reduced vision of the proposal. I am proud to say that I represented you and made it facilitated that that you got your way by voicing your opinion. I think your opinions are valid, and I'm glad that you did bring those forward. We will continue to listen to the people of Jefferson and to do what's best in the interest of the majority of the citizens on every issue. While everyone may not always agree on the best course of action, we elected officials always listen to the people and take your views into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. All right, the next question, and this, Dale alluded to this earlier. Jefferson has seen meaningful growth in recent years with several new businesses and housing developments underway. Looking ahead, what specific steps would you take to continue this momentum, and how would you ensure the growth remains responsible and beneficial for our community?
I loved all the questions that were asked so far. They've been great. Well, I mean, they're all going to be great, but so one of the biggest things, once again, it all kind of connects back together. Transparency is one, but connections with each other is a big thing. So I would really like to see like a business liaison and somebody that can really advocate for the businesses that are currently here and the ones that are interested in coming in. We do have quite a lot of storefronts on Main Street right now that do not have anybody in them. Some of them are under renovation, some of them are just sitting and waiting. We could really use a lot more foot traffic at this point, especially being a Main Street business. It can be a lot more difficult. I run mostly on private parties, custom orders, but walk-in business is nothing that my personal business could survive off of in Jefferson. We just do not see that kind of foot traffic. A lot of people that come to my business are actually from out of town, and it's nice that I can pull in additional, I guess it wouldn't really be tourism, but local communities into Jefferson as well. But the people here would like to see a little bit more to do as well. So having a business liaison to help take care of incoming businesses and current communications with all of our current businesses as well would be really quite nice. One more thing that I would really like to see is potentially a bonus program to help drive more businesses onto our Main Street. With some of these buildings being significantly older, they need a lot of updates, and that does put a halt on who wants to come in and set up their business here. So to put together something that could entice businesses, grants, and any funding program to help renovate the front side of a business or the inside of a business, or just get some more foot traffic into our city, I think would help quite a lot. Not only with our current community and being able to have a few more places to go, but to pull in a lot more tourism as well. We see things like Fort Atkinson's Main Street area is thriving with business. Lake Mills is a wonderful example of Main Street that's thriving with foot traffic business. So I think really pushing a lot of those would help to bring a lot more people all around into Jefferson. So that's what I got.
Well, again, something that we agree on. Jefferson has had a business facade improvement grant program in the past. It is not currently funded, and again, it kind of comes back to nice things cost money. How much are you willing to pay? We make difficult decisions when we make a budget here. Do we put money into this type of program, or do we put money into this type of services? Do we put money into fixing the potholes in the streets, or do we put money into offering a matching grant for a business owner? I think when it comes, you look at up and down Main Street in Jefferson, one thing I would maybe respectfully disagree on is for a city our size, we don't have that many empty businesses in downtown Jefferson, in my opinion. One of the things that's a challenge for us today is more people buying on the internet. So if you would all please abstain from buying anything from Amazon or any of the online companies, that will help drive businesses in downtown Jefferson, and it'll generate more foot traffic. That obviously is not going to happen. We have had to adapt, just like we've adapted our business community here over the years to address businesses that have either left or gone out of business over the years. We need to continue to adapt our retail strategy here I'm proud to say that I was one of the first people that suggested that we get into the Jefferson Main Street program, and I'm glad that we have that today. And we're still kind of learning to walk and grow that Main Street mentality here, but I'm very thrilled that what Lori's done with the Chamber of Commerce and what Amy has done with the Main Street Association and the fact that they're working together for the benefit of all the businesses in Jefferson. So we're very grateful for that. We look for more of that type of collaboration going forward, but an investment in Main Street is an investment in Jefferson. We'll continue to make the decisions that benefit the community both today and in the future. Again, nice things cost money. People don't like high taxes. There's a balancing act there. There really is. Sometimes the decisions require a bigger picture view of the circumstances, and other times the best answer is obvious and clear. Some specific steps I would take to continue our positive momentum are to continue to build the relationships with stakeholders and business partners that are mutually beneficial to the community and the company or business we're dealing with. We constantly strive to make and keep Jefferson the best Jefferson we can be. And decisions affecting the growth of our community should always be beneficial to the community and its residents, both those today and in the future. And we always want to maintain our great quality of life and keep Jefferson a safe and affordable place to live.
And I know each of you spoke on this somewhat in your past experiences, but what past experience or present experience do you want to highlight that has prepared you to lead this city?
So I've actually had a few people ask me this on the outside. What kind of experience do you have? You've never been in City Hall before. No, I have not. However, I am a mom to 3 boys who are in all kinds of extracurriculars, and I know how to balance a schedule. I run my own business, owner and operator, so I know how to balance a budget. And kids spend all my money, so then there's that balancing of that budget as well. I am a chamber ambassador and have been since we moved here in 21. When we bought our home, that was the first thing I did, is jumped into the chamber. So I have been out at every networking event I could possibly get my body over to, meeting as many people as I can and continuing to build bridges anywhere I can possibly go. I look to work with communities and organizations to try and figure out what we can do together. So that's been a really big part of that part of my life. I am also a previous martial arts instructor and enrollment director. I know that sounds a little wonky, but it was a huge highlight of my life. But in that, we've done so many different things that involve community and fundraising and just working with general people and about the safety of our kids, anti-bullying programs, I mean, you name it. It was very instrumental in self-discipline and learning respect towards others and teaching those things to my kids as well. So having that part in me is really, I feel, a strong value to continue on the communication and the respect in building the bridge between the residents and the city itself. So I always seem to forget one thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, Friends of Goat Island. That's like my #1 right now. So I have been the board president for Friends of Goat Island since January of 2023. So this is my 4th upcoming Goat Fest. We went from about 400 people in attendance to now well over 3,000 people in attendance. We just hit another milestone on our Facebook page for followers, well over 4,000 people now. So we've really turned it into quite a system for tourism, and we're bringing in people all the way from up Green Bay and Appleton, Rockford, even lower Illinois. We're bringing people up into Jefferson to try and get some more bodies here and bring some income into our own city and especially our downtown businesses. But running a nonprofit organization is not easy. I do not do it alone. I have a fabulous team of individuals that I work with literally every day. We have probably 3 different text threads that we're constantly talking about what we can do for our community and what we can do to benefit Jefferson and the kids in our community. So our slogan is literally all about the kids. And we have worked and finally have gotten to a point where our organization is self-sustained, and now the extra income that we're getting in, we are able to finally give back to our community. So we have started to donate to Christmas Neighbors, we donate to West PTO for their fun run, we've donated to a few other things that we're really excited to be a part of. So I feel like even having that within the schools, we had a name contest for the goats, so I got a chance to even meet like all of our kids. So I am officially, oh, hey, goat lady. Yeah, that's me. It's okay. But with all of these different backgrounds, I've been an assistant manager for a men's warehouse. I've been a bartender and a waitress. I mean, you name it, I've been in customer service pretty much my entire life. That's all I've ever done is work with individuals and listen and help where I can. So I feel that even though my background is not straightforward, I feel like it's given me a lot to learn from and a lot that I can give back to you as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Melinda.
Thank you. Well, Melinda, you might be surprised to learn that we did have a very robust and well-attended Goat Fest before you and Mike moved to Jefferson. And I'd really like you to see you bring back the racing sausages, because when the goats chased them across the walk bridge, it was a sight to behold. Okay, good. So yeah, we have Goat Fest and Friends of Goat Island has really grown into something that is unique about Jefferson. It's almost as popular as the car show. When I talk to people that tell them I'm from Jefferson, they're, oh, I saw that on Discover Wisconsin with the goats. Actually, I got to give credit where credit is due. That was former Mayor Arnie Broder's idea. We used to go on long walks, and one of the things that we talked about before anybody ever talked about using goats to knock down invasive species was, we should put goats on the island. I'm like, oh, okay. Why? Well, because, there's nothing else out there, and it gives some people something to look at. And with the boat landing over there now, and the House of the Island Goats, it's something that was built in the late, I think 2019 or so. It's something that's become a real attraction for Jefferson. And when I talk to people about it, and if they haven't heard about it, they say, you have what? And it really is unique in Wisconsin. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm grateful for you and your group that is taking that on, and Jason that keeps him at his farm. So that is something that we've grown and built on here over the years, and it's something that Jefferson is well known for now. So Goat Island is definitely one of our key features here. With regard to my preparation, or what helped me become prepared to be a good mayor, there's no question that my experience serving on the Jefferson City Council for 11 years prepared me to lead the city of Jefferson as mayor. No question whatsoever. I was very fortunate to learn from, gain experience from, and encouraged by 5 great mayors who served before me: Dick Fisher, Nancy Haberman, Bill Brandel, Arnie Broders, and Colin Stevens were and remain invaluable mentors for me. My time serving on the Jefferson City Council helped me understand how this big business we call the city of Jefferson works. We have almost a $20 million budget between the city of Jefferson operations, Jefferson water and wastewater utilities. It is a big business, and it requires a lot of knowledge. And thankfully, we have a great team of people here. That's one of the things I'm most blessed about, is the people that I get to work with. And I joke that I don't need to know anything. I just need to know who's good at what. Well, I know a little bit about the operations of the city of Jefferson. but I do lean on our team members for various specialized services, like Tanya Stewart, our finance director, certainly Tim Freitag, our city administrator and de facto economic development director. And for anybody who questions Tim's salary or what his compensation is, we're getting a deal with him. And any other community would hire him in a heartbeat for probably a lot more money than he's making here. Tim is not driven by money. Tim is driven by a passion for serving his city. And he's had quite a track record from West Milwaukee. He rebuilt all of the area south of Miller Park when he worked for them. And he remains steadfast and a great cheerleader for Jefferson. But we have just a team of experts. The Tyson Building, that's a huge undertaking. We have a team of experts that everybody at that table, there's probably sometimes more than 20 people at the table. We have geologists, we have lawyers, we have DNR people, and they're all experts in their field. So that project is not too big for us to take on here. And when you know the history of that building and what it's meant for our community, you can understand the vision for the future, because that will be a transformative improvement in downtown Jefferson for us to be able to kind of remake part of downtown Jefferson on the river, beautiful space, near Rotary Park, next to the housing that is going to be built on South Main Street. And we would like to continue that. We have a great team of people, and I'm very fortunate to serve with them.
All right, now we're going to transition over to the audience questions. And there was one that was turned in here this evening. I'm going to read that real quick. How do you propose the City of Jefferson leaders keep their residents and taxpayers better informed with what is happening with their city government? And I feel that Melinda answered that with the multiple platforms, and Dale acknowledged that as good suggestions to think about or consider. So I think we're going to maybe not answer that one again and look to the audience that we have here. Does anybody have any questions? All right.
Hi, I'm Becky Adams. Transparency seems to be a real big buzzword tonight, and I know that you've both touched on it, and one of the things that was said was, how do we reach groups that don't have the internet, don't have computer, yet every explanation either one of you gave was through a Facebook page or a social media page or using a computer, right? So one of the things I have realized in my a lot of volunteer hours with the food pantry is we have marginalized groups. We have a huge Spanish-speaking population. And recently I spent a lot of time out at the nursing home taking care of a friend. So how are we going to, these people in our nursing homes have been lifelong residents of Jefferson, so their voices still matter whether they can get to or read the internet or any of these things, and Spanish, all those things. So how does the transparency tip over to those groups that really haven't been addressed in either one of your comments?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. So email and text alerts, sorry, let's back up. Letters, basic letters. There's no reason. I mean, I know that at some point people will get our tax statement and there's a little QR code at the bottom that says scan here for all the information. I would like to not see those in my tax form anymore. I'd like to see a full printout of what's going on, and I'd like to see that actually before they take my taxes. We've seen quite an increase on our taxes alone in the few years that we have owned our home here, and I don't remember ever seeing a QR code. I'm not going to say it wasn't there. I've been told it was there, but I think a direct mail is a really big thing. As far as like the senior centers, there's no reason why we can't print out a large poster in English and in Spanish. My husband speaks Spanish. I'll ask him to translate it for me. There are so many different ways that we can get that. I mean, even AI alone can do translations with proofreading. They are not perfect. None of us are perfect, but I definitely think a lot more print through mail can easily go out. The newspaper, unfortunately, is just not as big as it used to be. I'm a big paper fan, hence my paper of bullet points. But technology evolves, so I would really love to see more direct mail as far as communications for larger things that should require community involvement. And then even just a basic text alert. A lot of people have cell phones. They may not go online. They may not even really do email, but they can receive a text message that says, we're about to do something. We would really like your input. If you would like more information, please email or call so-and-so. That's a real easy one, I think, that probably really doesn't even cost much to do at all for the city to do. So that's one way, or two ways, I think, that we could communicate stronger with. If it's even more important, not that nothing's less important, but personalized visits. I have no problem going in and talking to people. I love doing it. I'm a social butterfly. So I would happily go and knock on a door and say, hey, we got this going on, and I would really like your input. So I hope that helps.
Well, many of us do have technology, and many of us use it on a daily basis. Not everyone does. Direct mailings are still a good way of communicating with people. I have a dear family member that doesn't communicate via text messages or electronic media. So we need a way to communicate with that person as well as anyone else that might be challenged either through language barriers or through some other disabilities. So I believe that we all share this the desire to provide information. Again, it kind of comes back to nice things cost money. How much do you want to pay? You want to keep taxes down, or do you want to do blanket mailers once a month and tell everybody what's coming up on the next city council meeting? That's going to get pricey. Your taxes will go up, or your level of services will go down. Something's got to give here, as my grandpa used to say. And with regard to reaching out and engaging in communities that might be marginalized or perceived to be marginalized, I've been to St. Coletta. I've been to Alden Estates. Within the last 6 months, we're working with both of those facilities, near and dear to our hearts here in Jefferson. But we're working with those facilities to engage their residents in our community like they have been since I was a young boy and played with the guys and gals from St. Coletta. And I see Lynn smiling. We East Siders grew up with the kids from St. Coletta, and some of those kids were 40 years old, and we were out there playing softball with them when we were 12, So Jefferson and the community has always had a really warm relationship with both St. Coletta and Countryside Home before it was Alden Estates. So to that end, we're going to be working with both of those entities to bring more people down to the concerts in the park this year. We're going to get buses down here. We're going to get more handicap accessible seating in the park so that people that lack the mobility can come down and enjoy the same type of events that all the other family-friendly people can in Jefferson. With regard to the Hispanic population, absolutely, we need to reach out. I wish, one of my regrets, don't have a lot of them, but it's that I never took Spanish in high school. I had the opportunity to do so. In hindsight, if I went back and did it over again, I definitely would have done that. Because it's become such a part of our world today, and the Spanish-speaking people are such a part of our community, and I do feel that there's a little bit of a disconnect. Even as we reach out and we have Yes to Latina and things like that to help people feel welcome, we don't always have the opportunity to communicate with them as well as we could. And as I said before, there's certainly things that we could do better here in Jefferson, and that's one of them.
All right, move back to the front here.
I was husband and I moved to Jefferson about 7 years ago, and I have one question for the mayor. How long have you been mayor of Jefferson?
16 years, since 2010.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next question over on the side.
John House, Fort Atkinson. I just want to make a comment that Fort Atkinson's downtown Main Street is not on fire. I drove through there yesterday, and there's 5 empty buildings that have just shown up. So, it's just, in my thinking, I've lived in Fort for 76 years, we gotta get the traffic down from the cars and the semis. That'll help your main streets.
Thank you for the comment. Mr. Dinkle.
In being stewards of the taxpayers' money, I had a question that didn't get read, but I'm going to ask it. I guess as a city leader, how do you go ahead and justify a 12% increase in salary when the CPI is only at 2.4% as of February of 2026, and the average increase raised for a city administrator across the state ranged from only 3% to 6%. I think, again, when you talk about being a steward of money, that has to fall in place. And people need to answer to something like that as well. I think anybody here would love to have a 12% raise in their salary. That's unheard of nowadays.
I'll be happy to address that, Steve. 2 things. First of all, Mr. Freitag, are you referring to the city administrator specifically? Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Mr. Freitag had not had a raise for a number of years. Most people get a 2-3% cost of living bump every year, every other year. I think it had been about 6 or 7 years since Mr. Freitag had had a salary increase. Mr. Freitag did not ask for a salary increase, and the mayor did not dictate that. That was a decision that was made by your finance committee. You have 2 of them sitting around you here tonight, so maybe without passing the buck, I will share the opportunity for them to share with you why they felt that that was appropriate. I believe that, I agree that it is appropriate based on the productivity of Mr. Freitag and the fact that he had not had a raise for a number of years. He's just not that kind of person that goes, I want the same thing as everybody else gets. That's just not the way Tim's wired. So, yeah, taken out of context, you can say a 12% raise is ridiculous. Well, I haven't had a 12% raise, and I've been working for $600 a month for over 10 years. I don't complain about it. I knew what the compensation was. I never got into this for the money, but given the effort that I give, I think Jefferson, I'm not ashamed of getting the compensation that I get, and I think Jefferson's kind of getting the deal for both the council members and the some of the staff, all of the staff. We have great staff here, and I would not question the appropriateness of any of their compensation. So I respectfully agree to disagree on that one with you, but it had been a number of years as opposed to whether it's you're a school teacher or a police officer, generally people get a raise every year. So if you extend those raises and compound those over 6, 7, 8 years, you're going to come up with much more than a 12% bump.
Well, that being that all of that was discussed in a closed session. I mean, there's only so very little that I can comment on as far as that's concerned. I would have to probably refer back to what he has been paid in the past, what kind of bumps he has received, and then make a decision based on that. I really do wish I had that information, and I would happily dig further into that to give you a more informed answer if I'm able to do so. Public record, we will go ahead and we'll make a request and we'll get it out for you.
All right, next question.
Thank you. I think when we all agree that big companies and big businesses help Jefferson succeed through tax revenue and all that. But how do you two plan on improving or getting small businesses to Jefferson, increasing foot traffic, as it were? Thank you.
Okay, that's a really good question. What type of small businesses are you referring to?
Just anything that brings people in. The crack, retail.
Okay, well, that is, as I referred to before, if you can get everybody to quit buying from Amazon, that would be a really good start. Because we used to have, those of us who remember the history of Jefferson, Steve Adams is nodding, we had 3 grocery stores in downtown Jefferson. We had 2 shoe stores. We had 3 soda fountains, 4 at one time. I think Reddings had number 1, 2, and 3, and then there was the other dairy bar. Life has changed in the last 50 years, just like business development. The businesses have changed over those years. There's no furniture factory here anymore, and we don't have 3 grocery stores and 2 shoe stores downtown anymore. People's buying habits have changed, and downtown Jefferson, like every other downtown in Wisconsin and anywhere in the country really, has been forced to change their business models, and now it's more experiences like Melinda's business, Scott Obenbrenner, the Potter's business. Those are kind of niche businesses, but it's not something that somebody's going to go down and buy there every week. Bonton, maybe, but I'm guilty of that myself. But really, the changing nature of the business, the retail business climate, we're very fortunate to have a business like Wine and Roses, because we know that people can go down and they're going to need to get their flowers, they're going to need to get their condolences for when they have an event at Jake's funeral home. And then certainly the wine and some of the other things that they offer are nice amenities, and they offer that type of retail business. Would I love to have a whole downtown of those? Absolutely. But we're not Cedarburg. We could aspire to be Cedarburg or New Glarus or one of those other communities that have a lot of niche businesses, I'll say, experienced businesses. But it's going to take time. I mean, it's taken time to reinvent the business, the big business climate of Jefferson, from the sausage factory and the furniture factory and the Borgana factory. It took us 50 years for that. It hopefully will not take us that long. And with the assistance of the Main Street program to help facilitate those type of businesses, and going back to the original point, a question about a grant improvement program. I favor that. I'd like to bring that back. I also want to keep taxes manageable here too. So if we spend more money in one area or for a program like that, it's either going to have to raise your taxes or come out of other services. But I agree. It'd be great if every storefront in Jefferson was full, and we had people walking up and down Main Street on a daily basis. One of the other challenges is that some of our businesses are not open every day. So some of them are more unique and they're open by appointment only. So when you don't have that regular surety that, there's going to be 20 businesses, retail businesses open on a daily basis, makes it hard to build that reputation.
So obviously, being a Main Street business, this is a big thing for me and my income. So one thing that I would really like to do or to see is maybe some of these service industries that are taking up are really, really beautiful storefronts. Not that they are not needed, but could be redirected to places like Focus Co-working or the Jefferson Business Center, and taking up a smaller footprint where they're still highly accessible, but they're not taking up the beauty of our storefront windows. And then hopefully enticing more retail style businesses to come and fill those spots. The funding programs, I know that it used to be something that Jefferson did a while ago, and they had redirected that money elsewhere. We need to balance budgets. Just because we create something doesn't necessarily mean that our taxes are going to have to go up. We need to potentially cut somewhere else, find out what is being underutilized and where we can find extra or things that don't necessarily need to have $20,000, and that money can be divvied up into $4,000 or $5,000 for 4 new businesses to come and put in their retail. So one point he touched on is the hours of downtown. I don't know if you've ever really noticed, I'm sure you have, but when I go into work on a Monday, my Jefferson sign vault, I will turn on my sign and I will sit there all day and I won't see a single body coming into my store. And that'll also happen on Tuesdays. Mondays and Tuesdays, our downtown seems to shut down. So because I am more of an experience type business, I do have a shopping boutique, but because I am an experienced business, I do more appointments. I do a lot of private parties and a lot of custom orders. So things that people don't see in my storefront. So to get some more businesses in that might have fun little niche Wisconsin, Jefferson, Goat Island merchandise, that would be a really great thing to help bring tourism in. I don't know how many Jefferson magnets I'll sell out of my boutique. I think that's probably one of my top things. And it's interesting that you mentioned New Glarus, because I actually graduated from New Glarus High School. I don't usually tell a lot of people that. But I love it there, and so I know how the shopping is there. They constantly have foot traffic rolling around. Heavier in the summertime, obviously, because that's when people really want to get outside. But they have a consistent flow of business there. They have a very, very wide variety of stores, whether they're experience styles, pubs, bakeries, antiques, you name it. They're all there, and I would love to see more of those fill in downtown. So I'd like to see services moved, maybe into a more centralized location like Focus Co-working, and try and get some more of shopping retail for the rest of our downtown.
Thank you very much, Melinda and Dale. We're going to stay on track this evening. We're going to let everyone take a quick 5-minute break to stretch your legs. Please be advised, recordings are still on, mics are still hot, just to make you aware. Okay? Thank you. But just a couple of minutes, stretch your legs, and then we will welcome City Council up in just a moment. Okay, if everyone would please take your seats now, we're going to get started with the City Council portion of the evening. Please take your seats.
elevated, like, yep, that makes sense.
Okay, folks, we're going to begin here in just a minute. Again, this is a meet and greet, get to know our candidates a little bit and why they want to serve our community. Responses will be limited to 2 minutes because we do have 5 outstanding of our 6 candidates here this evening. So responses, we will try to keep you on the clock as tight as we can just so we can make sure we get through not only some of the questions that were submitted to us via Google, but also audience participation questions. Thank you again to everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you for the Jefferson Library for letting us use this space. Thank you to Iron Video Productions again for letting us use their equipment. And thank you to Jefferson Community TV for recording the session for us this evening. We're going to get started.
All right, so we'll just run down the candidates real quick here. This is Debbie, I didn't know. Chick Niles, Debbie Chick Niles, here we go. Scott Oberberger, Corby Stallman, and Ryan Burnett, and Pat Rice. Not here this evening is Matt Hall, but we do have his responses, and Lori will read them. So, Chick, you're up first. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, I really am Debbie Niles, for those of you who don't know that. I go by the nickname Chick. I will be on the ballot as Chick Niles because there are many people who don't know my real name. I am a lifelong resident of Jefferson, having gone to St. John's Lutheran and Jefferson High School, and I am an owner and operator of The Works Hair Salon, and we celebrated our 32nd year in business last week. I'm very proud of that. I have been an alderman for the city of Jefferson for the last 6 years. I am also a utilities commissioner. I'm on the Park and Rec Board, the Redevelopment Authority, and the Finance Committee. I'm a busy girl. I think Jefferson is a clean, safe, and charming community, and I intend to work to keep it that way. The word I think best describes Jefferson today is opportunities. Thanks to the team of Administrator Freitag and Mayor Dale Opperman and their forward thinking for Jefferson. New industry and jobs are pouring in, and housing developments, whether it be apartments or single-family homes, are popping up everywhere. That did not happen by accident. Tough decisions are also being addressed regarding our aging infrastructure. The wastewater treatment plant is a necessary evil. It is a bold move on the city's part to go forward with it. The can has been kicked down the road long enough, and our backs are against the wall. It's time to do something about it. Thanks.
Alderman Oberberger.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you everybody for being here. It's people like you who keep the city moving forward. It's people involved in the system that keep the city moving forward. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. I'm a transplant. I've been on the council for 2 years. I moved my business here because I chose Jefferson. I did a 6-county search when it came time for me to move my business from Racine, and I chose Jefferson because the people here are pretty awesome people. They're hardworking, they're kind, they're compassionate, they're thoughtful, and this was a community that I wanted to be in. I practiced law for 18 years. I'll admit it right now. Thankfully, I got smart. About 11 years ago, I quit practicing. I had what's called a TIA at the courthouse, transient ischemic attack. It's like a mini stroke. And hated my job, and I thought, you know what? This was God's boot print on my ass, quite bluntly. It was the time to make a change, and I did that. I became a potter full time. The mud washes off a lot easier when you're a potter than when you're a lawyer. But being a lawyer, I think that helps me bring a certain perspective to the city council that may not always be there. I practiced law, state, federal, and appellate in the Milwaukee County area primarily, but also statewide when it came to appellate practice, as well as before the state Supreme Court. As a potter and as someone who's built his own business, I know what small businesses need. If I had to call myself something, I'm a Main Street capitalist. I think the corporations are great. They're important, but they're not the whole thing. We need a small town perspective, and we need to encourage and help support our small businesses. Right now, based on my count, we have 7 empty storefronts in downtown. Most recent, Taco Fiesta is now gone. We're about to have an eighth because one of our insurance companies is about to sell their building, and that's going to leave another vacant spot in downtown. We need to do things to encourage those small businesses to move in. We need to have retail. We've heard a little bit about wanting more foot traffic in downtown. Well, the only way we're going to get more foot traffic is if we have critical mass. We don't get to critical mass until we have 8 to 10 retail stores, and then it's something that people are going to start wanting to come to walk around, to experience, and to have as a day trip destination. I would like to see us develop policies and things that will help to encourage that. And I'd like to see us invest in our small businesses at least as much as we're willing to invest in our big ones. A little bit more about myself. My business, Twice Baked Pottery, started out doing largely art fairs as well as the retail place. In the last 3 years, we've shifted more and more to doing wholesale. In 3 years, we're now up to 135 stores nationally, as well as a large catalog out of New York called Uncommon Goods. We're shipping 500 pieces a month to them. So I know something about building business, and I'd like to be able to continue to bring that perspective to the city and to the city council. So if you choose to return me to city council, I promise I'll keep doing the best I can for another 2 years. Thanks.
All right, Alderman Stallman.
Good evening. My name is Corby Stallman. I'm 51 years old. I'm husband, father, and grandfather. I've been moved here about 20 years ago. My wife and I recently purchased Wine and Roses. I'm an engineering technician in Johnson's Creek. Been there for 26 years. I think my experience there will help very much in city council and continue moving the city forward. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Burnett. I've lived here for 10 years with my wife, Tiffany Burnett. She has lived here her whole life. A lot of you probably know her. She teaches a lot of fitness classes in the community. She also taught swim. I grew up in Sullivan and graduated Johnson's Creek. So just one town over, Jefferson County, my whole life. I've been in the meat industry from 14 years old on, worked with my aunt and uncle who own Burnett Meats in Johnson's Creek. Right now I am the director of retail sales for the company called JB Group out of Minnesota.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Pat Rice.
Hey everybody, I'm Pat Rice. I think on the ballot I'm Patrick Rice. I guess I'll find out when I vote. I'm the newcomer here. I've been here for 2 years. I live at 334 East Dodge Street, right across from the ball field. I'm from Wisconsin originally. I grew up in Plymouth, Wisconsin, cheese capital of the world, in case you don't know it. And by the way, they have a very thriving downtown, and it might be worth it for somebody from Jefferson to go there and maybe ask some questions about how they came to do that. I went to Edgewood College in Madison for my undergrad, and then I went to grad school at UW. I got a master's degree in journalism, and then I spent the next 37, 38 years living all over the country. I worked for a newspaper chain that moved me quite a few times as I went up the ladder. I started as a reporter. I was a reporter in Arkansas. I was an investigative reporter in Little Rock. From there, I became a city editor, then a managing editor, and the last 20 plus years of my career, I was an executive editor of 3 different daily newspapers. The last one, the Daytona Beach News Journal in Florida, was a fairly sizable paper, and there I learned a lot about how to manage my budget, how to manage people, how to work collegiately as a team, all of those different things. But I'll tell you the one thing that I learned throughout my career and that I think would really be beneficial to this city council is how to ask questions. And frankly, the members of this current city council, I will accept Scott from this. I'm not trying to pick a fight with anybody, but they do not ask enough questions at meetings. And that's part of the reason that it seems that things aren't as transparent as they should be. I will work really hard collegiately, but also to ask questions and to make sure that, that I listen to people like you out here so that when I'm up there, I'm not representing a special interest or a connection to somebody else, but I'm representing independently you. Thank you.
All right, next up, Lori's going to read on behalf of Nat, and she's going to put both question 1 and 2 combined just because that's the last one to be introduced, and then the first one to go back around for that next question.
Okay, so you might have to do a little pretending here because I don't look much like Nat at all. Hello, I am Nathan Hall, but most folks call me Nat, and I am a candidate for Alderperson at Large in the city of Jefferson, Wisconsin. My wife Monica and I moved to Jefferson in the spring of 2006 when we thought we were purchasing our starter home. At the time, my wife was working in the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, and I was still in college and working at the University of Wisconsin Forest Entomology Laboratories. So we found a house right in the middle where we both had a relatively equal commute to work. We figured we would stay a couple of years, and depending on where I eventually found work, we'd sell our starter home and move on. However, plans change, as they so often do, and my wife was offered a job in the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office in 2009. Living on Wisconsin Drive made her commute about 1 mile long, so we decided to stay a little longer. By 2010, we welcomed our first child and started growing a lot more comfortable and settled into our starter home. In 2011, we welcomed our second child. And with 2 kids, it became impossible to ignore the neighbors any longer. Our starter home became our kids' hometown, and my very large Dane County-based family started calling us the Jefferson Halls. In 2013, I attended Gametlia Kite Days for the first time. After attending, I couldn't believe it had taken me 7 years to check it out. A friend in town had invited me to join a planning meeting, and I believe the first one I attended in 2018 was held at the American Legion Post. From that very first night, I was roped into the G-Days family and have been joining in every Einprost since. In summer of 2022, our home was in need of a few repairs. Yes, the same starter home we bought back in 2006. If you drove down Wisconsin Drive that summer, you probably saw the interesting sight of a house on stilts. The basement had been in need of some repairs, and so we decided to replace the old 130 or so year old fieldstone basement with a new poured concrete one. With a project like that, my wife and I couldn't deny that the new starter home was now forever. Jefferson had become our hometown. All right, now that I know I got you here, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I am a board-certified entomologist that is a bug scientist for a very large pest management company called Rent-O-Kill Terminex. I have been in pest management for 16 years, starting out as a residential service technician, making sure my customers had pest-free homes. I moved into commercial pest management where I helped keep the national food supply safe at large food production facilities, including Nestle Purina, Jones, U.S. Foods, Ortega, Silgen Packaging, Pepsi, Frito-Lay. You get the idea. Today, I train current and future pest management technicians. My home office is a virtual classroom set up to train topics such as cockroach biology and control, filth fly biology, sanitation practices in food service, chemical safety, and many other aspects of the pest management industry. As part of my role, I also sit on the board of directors for the Wisconsin Pest Controllers Association. In my free time, I'm an avid, though fairly amateur woodworker. I also have been known to homebrew on occasion. Every month, on the first Monday evening, I attend the Gametlia Kite Days planning meetings, where I am currently the president of the board of directors. Every other Wednesday night, you'll find me at Stable Rock Winery calling numbers for the bingo nights and telling really terrible dad jokes.
True story.
My kids, teenagers now, and attend Jefferson High School, where one is a very active forensics competitor in radio and an accomplished actor in the drama club. And the other is a very busy basketball and volleyball player for both the high school and clubs. As a result, a lot of my free time is also spent in bleachers and theater seats. Now that we've been here for 20 years, and my wife having served Jefferson County for 17 years and counting, I feel it is time for me to start serving my community that I call home as well. I have been regularly attending city council meetings, observing the procedures, listening to proposals that come in, and hearing residents speak their opinions and offer suggestions to a group of hardworking individuals, all of whom are trying to make a difference in their community. I think it's all very exciting, or at least very interesting. We all know Jefferson typically changes slowly. However, we are now on a path towards some really great opportunities for development, infrastructure upgrades, sustainable industry, civic events, and revitalization. With that in mind, I want to be a part of those opportunities to help maintain that path forward and even forge new paths as necessary for our city's continued development into the future. Thank you all, Nat Hall. Thank you, Nat. Thank you for your comments tonight.
All right, that was the first round of introductions. Now the second question. Please explain why you want to serve the residents of Jefferson and the community. Debbie, I can't go to the check.
I believe that literally my hands-on with the general public gives me a great advantage to most in really understanding the pulse of our residents. People are not afraid to tell me what they like and what they don't like, believe me. My listening skills have been honed being in the service department for 40 years. I know what people are wanting in this city. I also come from a large service-oriented family who are also extremely engaged with the public. I am good with money. My husband is literally a disciple of the financial whiz Dave Ramsey, and that policy is how we live. As a single young gal living on my own at the age of 20, I unwittingly adhered to Dave Ramsey's policies before Dave Ramsey was a household name. I believe I possess common sense, I am practical, and I'm organized to a fault. I can look ahead and see what consequences, if any, decisions at council level will have. If we put this food and beverage park in, what will happen with the noise? What will happen with the odor? What about the traffic in the community? All those decisions come into play. In the 32 years I have been in business in Jefferson, I have had lucrative years and I have had lean years. I have had months where I labeled the bills, envelopes with dates on the outside to know which ones I could send when. There were months when the checkbook ended in cents, not in dollars. I am happy I don't have to live that way anymore, but I know and understand people who do. I am conscious of how we spend other people's money. I also understand the difference between a need and a want. We need a wastewater treatment plant. We want fireworks. I need the window fixed in my car. I want that Easter wreath at Home Goods. I have 6 years of experience being a council member. I have learned a lot in that time. The truth is, I am impressed with the city's team of Tim Freitag, Mayor Opperman, and Tanya Stewart, and their handling of our city's money. I have come home from council more than once, and I've told my husband about the end of the year audit that we get from Carlson Detman and what excellent financial shape this city is in. I tell him I wish that more citizens would come to the meetings where the auditing gives firm, their detailed report to the council. We have a AA3 rating, which is unusual for a city of our size. What does that mean? It means that when the time comes to borrowing money, we have choices, which financial institutions we can go to and the interest rates we will get. The report also shows that we have the capacity to borrow measurably more than we do, thanks to our leaders and their conservative spending. I can do this job for you.
Thank you, Chief. Scott?
Thank you. I've been on the council for 2 years. I'm one of the newer people on the council. I'm proud of what I've been able to do in 2 years. Just a little bit of it was able to push the city a bit and deal with a bar that was a problem bar. It had been a problem bar for a long time. Ultimately, that bar ended up selling to a new owner. They renovated it, they improved it, and we have not had any problems from it since. I was able to get state funding to pay for a landscape architect to assist in the Rotary Park redesign, including listening sessions related to that, so that the community, the organizations that sponsor events in Rotary Park could come forward and say what they wanted to see in the park. I was the one who brought the motion at council to bring Stop and Bach Park out of the corp plan and bring it back to the voters to give them the chance to have their voices heard as to what they wanted in a park. I can tell you the people who made the change in that were the people who showed up at that listening session. 60 people came forward so their voices could be heard. And it's thanks to them that instead of costing $1 million was the projection, it looks like we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially if the new plan goes into effect. I've pushed the city to take seriously the J House Hotel, which, as you know, is one of the most historic buildings in our downtown. I think it was built in like 1839 or 1840, and it's in terrible shape. But it's in better shape today than it was a year ago. And it's because by pushing a little bit and getting the city to take seriously the need to issue orders on that building, we've had it cleaned up quite a bit, and now the porch and veranda have been rebuilt on that. I was the first chair of the Jefferson Main Street Association, and I assisted in leading that organization for 3 years, roughly 3 years, a little bit less than that, to try to help establish an organization out of nothing and get it to where it is today. I'm going to continue doing that and trying to work to be your voice. You are the city. You are the government. And it's not, our job is to make your voices heard. And that's what I would do for another term if you choose to send me back. I've come to the conclusion, quite honestly, that term limits are not a bad thing. My intent is to serve just one more term, because other people need to take up that mantle and speak out for the citizens of this city. I don't think anybody should get too comfortable in city government or any government position, because it's real easy to start defining yourself by that position. This is your job. This is your position. And if you choose to send me back, I'll do my best. I'm sure I'll make mistakes, and when I do, I want you to tell me. You can come into my shop any day you want and talk to me. I do listening sessions once a month at Tana Latte, and I would encourage you to come to those and speak to me and tell me your ideas. Tell me when I screw up, and tell me if we do something right. But I'm here to listen to you and try to have your will put forth as city policy. Thanks.
I'm not going to tell you why I should. I'm going to tell you why I want to be an alderman. I moved to the city probably back in the mid-90s. I lived above Bonton Bakery. I worked cleaning jobs at Schweiger's. I worked cleaning jobs at Doskasil. I worked at Bonton, and then life happened and we moved. 2008, my wife and I could finally buy a house. We moved right back to Jefferson. I love this place. I want to make sure it thrives. I want to make sure that it's the place that people want to move to 20 years from now, 40 years from now, and I want them to have the same experience that I had when I moved here. The blessings that we've gotten from this city over the last 20 years is incredible. I just want to make sure to pass that on to the next generation. The next family decides to move their kids here and raise their kids or retire here. I want to be responsible for that, for the people that want to move here and want to have something new, something exciting, something that families can build on. Thank you.
Ryan?
So the reason that I would like to serve the city of Jefferson, I was talking to my wife on how I could give back, and then ran into Dale, and he brought up running for alderman. So I put some thought into it, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to learn more about the city, to give back, to get a younger voice in the community, and try and get the next generation ready to try and serve our community. So I thought I'd give it a shot and see what came about it.
Thank you, Ryan. Matt?
Well, I didn't run into the mayor, and he didn't encourage me to run for city council, so there is that. I'll go back to the first thing I said, which is that I do have quite a bit of experience as a journalist, and I do think that it's important to ask city officials, including myself, if I become a council member, questions. That's how issues get discussed in the public realm. if everybody just sits there and votes after somebody reads whatever they're voting on, that really doesn't serve the public well, I don't think. So I definitely will ask more questions, I think, and you know, I may become a little bit of a nuisance doing that, but that's okay. I think transparency is a real issue for the city, and I think it's not even almost an intentional issue, it's just like an issue that's become that way. I'll give you an example. The city, I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the city council, I think, created or voted to have a communications committee sometime in the last year and a half or so. So far as I know, it has never met one time. And I think that it would really behoove the city if they just met and discussed how they could communicate better. I will tell you that one thing I won't do is I won't attend a curious special meeting that's called 3 days before Christmas, where they double our sewer rates and also give the city administrator a 12% raise. I just won't go to that meeting. We have a lot of issues in the city. Jefferson is a great city, you know, it's low crime, people are friendly. I have the best neighbors in any place that I've ever lived. But we also have some real challenges that are coming up. One of them is the wastewater treatment plant, and it was interesting to hear somebody else say that they kicked that can far enough down the road. She's right about that. That wastewater treatment plant probably should have been replaced 10, 12, 14 years ago. Now it's going to cost us tens of millions more dollars to replace it. And if you think that having your sewer bill doubled on December 22nd, if you think that that is the only time they're going to do that, you've got another thing coming, because they're going to do it again. So I think it's really important for this next city council to really have a handle on that issue and to really focus on that. And the final thing I'll say is downtown is a really critical issue for Jefferson. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. I think that's why you put people together around a table and you work on those issues. But it is a really critical issue, and ask yourself this: is there any small city in Wisconsin that's really thriving that doesn't have a nice downtown? I would say that it's probably not. Thank you.
All right, we do have 3 questions that were submitted online via the Google machines, and the first question goes like this. What unique skills and knowledge do you have that will support you in making wise choices for Jefferson and its residents and allow you to be an effective alderperson?
Well, I think I already answered that question. 32 years in business. There have been years I've had 2 employees, I've had 5 employees, I've had 4, I've had massage therapists in and out, I've had nail techs in and out. It's a lucid, it's a fluid job. I possess common sense. I can listen. I'm good with money. I can make decisions and I can stick to it. I can look to the future and see what is this decision going to be. And I think I have the skills to do it.
One of the things I learned when I practiced law was the importance of listening. If you don't listen to your clients, you're not going to be able to represent them very well. I think the same skill set is necessary when it comes to an alderperson or any city official. You've got to be willing to listen to the voters, listen to what they want, listen to what it is they need, and try to figure out how do you achieve that in a way that benefits the most people possible. That's one of the skills I think I bring. My legal skills and analytical skills I think are helpful as well. I think building a business. My parents raised my sister and I to be hard workers and as an entrepreneurs. As a kid, I remember at the age of 7 and 8, I had 3 or 4 businesses running at the same time, whether it was collecting cans and newspapers, going door to door. I had 20 houses in the neighborhood that would save them, and I would go with my wagon and pick all these things up to take them in for recycling. Cutting lawns. Though I've been building a business since I was basically out of diapers. And no, I wasn't in diapers up to the age of 8, just so that people, we're getting back to that age soon enough. So, but no, I think that having entrepreneurial skills, being willing to build a business, working with people, those are all important things that are necessary. I hope to be able to serve the people, and I hope that those skills will serve them well.
I also had listening. I think working in a big corporation for as many years as I have, listening in a meeting, you learn more than you do talking. You learn from everybody that's in the room and their experiences. The second thing I have is build consensus by compromise. We do that all the time at work. When you're working with 10, 12 engineers, you don't go into a meeting blazing what your idea is or what your part of the problem is. You listen to everybody else, you compromise, you come up with a solution that works for everybody in the group, not just for 1 or 2 people. I don't think it pays to strong arm ideas through. You don't gain anything. If you don't have an idea that comes by compromise, it's never going to make it. Nobody's ever going to enforce it. Nobody's ever going to work with it other than the person that won the battle. The last thing I have is paying attention to detail. In the job that I do, you're looking at, for us, it's a lawnmower. If you're working on one group, a small group, say a wheel group, and you change something, it could change the entire mower. So if you're not looking at the entire picture, what this little tiny thing is going to do to the rest of the city, it doesn't pay. You could ruin 10 things by changing one. And I think those are the 3 most important things that I've learned.
For my unique skill set, as I said, I work for a company called JV Group, and being the retail director of sales, $350 million a year is what I'm responsible for. So I'm responsible for that P&L, managing that team, and balancing that budget. We're about an $800 million a year business, and almost half of that is on my shoulders. I don't have a college degree. I've worked my way up through the industry and have just been pure grit. Along with that, I've been on the board of directors for the Wisconsin Meat Association. Coming off my term this year in April, Chicago Meat Association. When I was working for a company out of Chicago, I was on that board for 2 years. And I just recently got on the board of governors for the Wisconsin Grocers Association. So I've served about 10 years on board of directors, so I have a lot of experience being part of boards and just running businesses.
One thing that I did learn in my career is about public policy. And the reason is because journalists spend a lot of their times at those really boring city council meetings or county board meetings or what have you, listening and taking notes. And when you become the editor of a paper, you start to sit down with people when you call them into editorial board meetings and really get down into the weeds with them about why they're doing what they're doing. And so I've learned a lot from that, and I think I can put that to use. The other thing is life experience. I am mostly retired, so I guess when I say life experience, I mean I'm old. And I've had a lot of life experience. I grew up in a blue-collar family. My dad was a plumber. Not looking for a sympathy vote, but my mom passed away when I was 14, so I grew up those years in a single-parent family with 5 kids, and a father who probably was out of his league when it came to handling all of us. You learn a lot. And I always remember this, and a small-town mayor told me this long ago from Garland City, Arkansas. And you talk about a poor town, she wasn't putting, they had dirt roads still in that town. They had homes with no plumbing. And over a 20-year period, she made sure that they had plumbing and that their roads were paved. and that the people in that small town, most of whom were African American, were taken care of. And I asked her, you know, how did you manage all of this? And she said something that always stuck with me. She said, you know, I know how poor people feel and I know how rich people think. And that always struck me as, you know, a fairly profound statement. And I think as a city council member, the one thing that I would really try hard to do, it's important to listen to your fellow city council members and the city officials to understand why we're going to do what we're going to do. I think it's even more important to listen to people. So 334 East Dodge, stop by anytime, and I'll give you a good listen. Thanks.
All right, second question. What is your vision for Jefferson 10 years from now?
I love this question. When I sat down last night at the computer to make my notes, I was just going crazy. I was clickety-clacking because I'm like, oh, what about this? What about that? Because I see a lot with the city of Jefferson in 10 years. I will start with, I believe it will be a flourishing community. Our newest additions of Kikkoman, Onego, Supremo, Palermo will be all up and running with all of their planned expansions finished. Who knows, maybe Nestle will grow as well again. I am confident there will be more industry to Jefferson, as I know there are already companies that are inquiring. Currently, there is expansion of the food and beverage campus already in the works. It seems to be the word on the street is why not Jefferson? With our wastewater treatment plant and our electric departments brought up to modern day standards, our city will have the capacity to welcome industry with a strong infrastructure thanks to the bold, decisive measures our city government is implementing today. I see our pool upgraded to compete with neighboring cities' offerings. I know that we have to relocate our current soccer fields with the new wastewater treatment plant. Perhaps we combine those fields with softball diamonds and make a sports complex. I see our park system expanding as well. Maybe we run the bike trail through our downtown in a more promoted fashion. The old Tyson property will be amazing. Not only will the owner owned condos with a desirable view of the river be in demand, perhaps in addition to that property will be a restaurant with a view of our cute Goat Island. Rotary Park is also being expanded into what was the parking lot for Tyson, and that park will be the hub of downtown. Festivals, markets, I see this area really desirable. Pull up to one of the boat or kayak launches and enjoy a concert. I see us utilizing our rivers even more. The boardwalk along the river will be expanded and will be a true asset. The South Main Street homes that have been taken down will be townhouses with sidewalks and green space, beautifully landscaped, which will be adjacent to the old Tyson property development. With the river area being the focal point, I see small businesses and perhaps a specialty restaurant or two moving into downtown. How wonderful it would be to have more shops or service ventures close by. I also believe that the citizens of Jefferson need to be engaged. A successful city is not based on the handful of government officials that run it. Join a service group, attend council meetings, learn what's going on. Volunteer opportunities are endless. Engage. Your church, food stands, the food pantry, park cleanups, youth sports. Show your support by attending events offered, like the cab rides and fire station pancake breakfast, chili walks, wine walks, boo bash, and who knows what else we'll have in 10 years. Come to the Gamekli Kite Parade, eat at our restaurants. The possibilities for Jefferson are endless.
Scott, please make sure, and rest, make sure you say your name at the start.
Oh,
thank you.
That's okay. Sure. Thank you. Scott Oberdenberger again. I guess I see something a little bit simpler. I see a place where people build homes, where people build families, where people feel comfortable letting their kids play in the street, in the neighborhood, without worrying about safety issues. We can have a long litany of all the things we want to have. We want to have parks, we want to have pools, we want to have all these things. But we also have to have a community that can sustain itself and that can afford it. The cost of doing all of those things would probably overwhelm our little tax base of about 8,000 people. I'd like a city that endorses and embraces small businesses and keeps dreams for individuals alive so that they can actually open up their own businesses, hopefully on our own Main Street. I'd like to see a city that focuses a little bit more on the individual and a little less on the corporate. Corporations are good, they're important, but they also use a lot of resources. They use a lot of water, they use a lot of energy, they require a lot of capacity for wastewater treatment. I'd like a city that's going to be responsible and look to its own citizens first for what they want and for what it is they want for their families and their neighborhoods. I think that it's great to have big parks and beautification, but the best way to do that is by bringing people together and working together to do it rather than expect the city to be able to take on all of those roles. In an ideal world, it would be great, but I don't know too many cities that hit Powerball and are able to afford all of that. I think we need fiscal conservatism. I know it's sometimes a dangerous thing to say, but we need a city that understands that we don't have unlimited resources, that we have a certain amount that we can afford, and we need to live within our means. And so I do believe firmly in making sure that we have a city that the individual is held up first and foremost, and then we can look to help build the corporations after all the people who've lived here all their lives and have moved in and chosen this city have had a chance to build their dreams.
Corey Stallman. I guess what I see a destination. I see a destination where people want to come and raise their kids. I see a destination where people want to come use our parks. I see a destination where people want to come shop downtown, eat at our store, eat at our restaurants, shop in our stores. That's what I see in 10 years. It's a destination. There's no reason that we can't be like surrounding communities. There's no reason that we can't have a flourishing downtown. There's no reason that we can't have an event at that beautiful park that's right next to our downtown every weekend. So I think we should make it a destination, someplace that people come every weekend. Hey, we're going to go to Jefferson and shop. That's what I see in 10 years.
Not real fun being the third person, fourth person going to meet everybody, but I do agree that the small businesses and large businesses, we need to keep adding those to our community. But I really agree with it. We need to be the community that when someone's looking to move from Madison or Milwaukee, that they're wanting to raise their families here. They're starting their families. Like Nat said in his intro, he didn't plan on living here for his whole life, but that's what happened. You know, we need to be that great community that people want to raise families. And that's how we're going to be able to grow and just be a community. And hopefully we, as a community, can come together and be more open, be more involved, and we can just listen and take everybody's opinions and build the best city that we can.
Pat Rice. I'm going to start, I think this is a very good question, but I also think it's very difficult to accurately provide a 10-year vision of here's what the city will be in 10 years, because I think there are so many factors that can come into play there. And if you want proof, take a look at Jefferson's 2020 comprehensive plan, which is overflowing with ideas and platitudes, most of which won't be accomplished by 2030. It's a mile wide and an inch deep. So with that as a premise, here are 4 ideas I think we can focus on that will make Jefferson a more prosperous place and a better place for all of us. The first is housing. Jefferson's population will continue to grow. It's kind of an open book as to how fast or how slowly we'll grow, but we're going to continue to grow. And a lot of our newcomers will be people who commute to work in Madison or Milwaukee. That's just going to be the nature of the community. And they're going to require new housing. But as we grow, our city, and the city council, I think, plays a role in this, in ensuring that developers include affordable housing in their plan. Right now, I don't think that they are. And most people can't afford homes that start at over $400,000 a year for your mortgage. Secondly, I think our city needs to increase its support for developing Jefferson's core downtown. I think all of us think that, and it sounds like a broken record, but I think that's really true. Every small city in Wisconsin that is thriving has a vibrant downtown that attracts visitors. And we have some good downtown businesses. We've got some good restaurants downtown, and some of them are destinations. People come to the Brick House from outside of Jefferson just to eat lunch at the Brick House. So we've got a kind of, I think, a pretty solid foundation to build on. But downtown needs more love from City Hall. Next, I agree we need to continue to work to attract new businesses, meaning industry that pays healthy wages. I think Nestle Purina is a great corporate citizen. I have to say, when I first moved here and I thought, what is that odor? I thought, oh, that's Nestle Purina. But you get used to it, and they pay really well, and I think they're good people. I think Kikkoman is also going to be a very good corporate citizen. But I also think we have to ask questions of some of the other companies, and in particular, the city council needs to ask the city administrator or the mayor or someone to provide residents with an update on another company that's slated to build in the beverage park, Onego Bayou. Onego Bayou, I think it's a really good idea for a company, but it's essentially a startup, and they're in the middle of a contentious federal lawsuit over patent rights. How will that lawsuit impact Onego Bayou's plans? That would be a good thing to know. And then just briefly, one more thing. I'll just save the briefly. Thank you.
All right, the final question on the mail-in version of this, it's a hot topic. What will you do to ensure the citizens of Jefferson are fully informed in advance of plans for development and plans for capital improvements in the city? What will you do to ensure that the citizens of Jefferson are fully informed in advance of plans for development and plans for capital improvements in the city?
Okay, Debbie Niles or Chick Niles, whichever you rather. So when it comes to ensuring that the citizens are kept abreast of what's going on, I will start with what we currently do. The Daily Union is the city's designated newspaper. We post legal notices, ordinance changes, resolutions, budgets, zoning, and public hearings, council proceedings, liquor licensing, and election notices. Currently, the city does not post the agenda for the council meetings in advance in the paper. They also do not post them on Facebook. Could they? Probably yes. I would not be opposed to that. The paper costs money, Facebook is free. But they should probably be put on both. But it will increase spending putting it in the paper. The agendas are the only thing I think makes sense to post. Could agendas of each city department's meetings be done? Maybe. But I would not pay to put them in the paper because the lack of community interest in most. The agendas of the council meetings are also posted in the hallway of City Hall not less than 24 hours before a meeting, and they are listed on the city's website as well. The city is guided by state statutes that need to be followed in every aspect of running a municipality. There is no mystery to what the city is doing. Citizens are also allowed to express concerns or questions at the beginning of every city council meeting during the public participation time. It is not a back and forth session, however, which is frustrating. Blame Robert's Rules of Order. I have seen Administrator Freitag, however, reach out to an individual more than a few times, hand him his business card, and tell them, call me this week regarding their problem. I often hear, we don't subscribe to the paper. We don't have a Facebook account. My answer to that is you can always call City Hall or an alderman and get your facts, or they can direct you to who can answer your question. In the last 6 years of being on the council, I will tell you that until the last 10 months, we have had little to no community involvement at council level. Nobody ever comes. It has always kind of amazed me that nobody seems to care. Now there is a small faction of the community that is engaging. Great. Being involved is your best way to know what is going on. And I will say that again. We can have Facebook, we can have the newspaper. Being involved is the best way to know what's going on. Come down to City Hall, make a phone call. The information is there, but you have to put in a little effort to get it. We are not hiding anything.
Scott Oberberger. I'll continue to do what I've been doing. I'll continue to have listening sessions once a month. I'll continue to have an open door policy in my shop. I'm there every day, pretty much, and certainly Tuesdays through Saturdays, usually Sundays and Mondays as well. Anybody who wants to come in, as long as they don't mind having me throw mugs and things, not at them, but on the wheel, I'm happy to have them come in and hang out and talk for as long as you want and share your ideas, thoughts, questions, interests. And I'll be happy to look into them and get back to you and get back to whoever has questions that I can't answer. I'll continue to push and urge the Communications Committee to begin having meetings, to have sessions where we figure out how to make things more available, how to have more transparency. I mean, we've heard transparency a number of times, and I think the reason it keeps coming up is because for whatever reason, people have reached a belief that things aren't as transparent as they should be. Some of that is our fault, and some of it also needs to be borne on each and every one of us. You have to make an effort, as Chick just said, in order to know what's going on. But we have to do a better job of putting that information out there and making it available. The fact is in this age of computers and electronics, that is going to be the primary method of communication. But I will always do the old-fashioned way of sitting down, having coffee at least once a month, and anybody who wants to join me, please come and join me.
Corby Stillman. I will echo the same thing about the Communications Committee. I did not even know that it existed. I think they could probably be expanded to not just city council members, but maybe members of the community that want to help get that information out. I also think, though, that you can have 20 Facebook posts and as many newspaper articles as you want, and that information isn't searchable. Being in the job that I'm in, I'm addicted to my computer. So if it's sortable, if it's easy to look up, if I can search by subject or date or time or dollar amount, that's the world I live in, and I'd love to be able to find a way to make city information available that way. Unfortunately, I don't know how that is, but that's something that we can explore. It might not be immediate, it might not be cheap, but I think it's something that should be out there with everybody. Well, 80% of people being on computers and being computer literate nowadays, I think it's something that should be out there. You should easily be able to look up records by searching for them, and it's something we should explore.
Ryan Burnett. So I don't know exactly how I would do it. I would need to listen to all of you on how you feel it would be best to communicate this to the community. And then as a group, I feel we would need to take that and design a plan and a system on how we can communicate better so everyone feels heard and they understand what's going on in our community. Systems are that's a big thing of my day is just using systems and having that system on how we can get it out in a timely fashion and just make sure everyone feels that they are up to speed with what's going on in our community.
Pat Rice, and I'll echo what some others have said, is that I would start by insisting that that so-called communications committee actually have a meeting. I mean, think about that. What sort of message does that send, that you create a communications committee and then it never meets? So there's that. I think one important step that the city could take pretty immediately, and it would be pretty cost effective, is simply to improve its own website. I think there's actually quite a bit of information on the website, but it has poor navigation. It's difficult to find things, and some things have just been kind of like put up there. There's no like cohesive organization to it. That would be a project. Having worked on redesigns of more than one website in my life, it's takes more than it looks like it takes, but it would be a worthwhile one, and I think that would really help the city in its communication efforts. And beyond that, I think it's the same with other social media, whether it's Facebook or posting on X or what have you. I think that would be a really good step to take. In particular, on the website, I think it would really be helpful to all the citizens if there was a regular report on what's going on so far as constructing the new wastewater treatment plant. I know we're at the beginning stages, bids haven't gone out, all of those sorts of things. But there are things that I do know. I know that they just doubled our rates to pay for it, and eventually they're going to do that again. In other words, it's going to go up $30 more at some point. That at least is the plan, and that's if everything goes well. It could go up more than that. So I think when you're working on a project that's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars for a community this size, everybody really needs to be fully informed about how that money is going to be spent and how that's going to be put together. And I think if the city improved its website and just did that, that would go a long way toward communicating something important to the citizens. Thank you.
All right, so those are the 3 mail-in questions. Now we'll take from the audience. So we have a hand up.
Me again, I'm sorry. So I've been sitting here reflecting on Jefferson, right? Listening to all of you. I am the product of Jefferson. My grandfather was a factory worker. My grandma a teacher. My other grandparents owned a small business, which we talk a lot about in Bender's Hotel years ago, right? Mailmen, teacher's aide, right? Blue collar. Jefferson is a blue collar community. And we have talked all night about downtown and small businesses and Kikkoman and all those things, right? And Pat, I believe you might have been the only one that touched on affordable housing. Yeah? Okay. But the jobs in this community that are coming here are Kikkoman, are Nestle's, that are $30, $35 an hour jobs. Great jobs for a community like ours, right? Amazing. But they cannot afford $400,000 houses. I volunteer at the Jefferson Food Pantry, and I want you all to know that food insecurity in this town is huge. Not a single person up here has touched on what we're doing to continue to invest in our current community members. Not those that are going to big bedroom communities coming in from Madison, coming in from Milwaukee. Great, we need those people, right? I understand that. But our generation, my generation, is young, right? I hope I'm, Ryan, thank you for being up there. But nobody has addressed what we're doing to feed our community, what we're going to do to house our community, how we're going to help any of these programs that are social programs, whether we agree or not that they should be around, they are part of our community and they're the community that we serve. First of all, I would love all of you to come to the food pantry, current city council members and ones that are not. There is a huge need in this community and I haven't seen a single one of you there. So please reach out to me. I'd love to give you a tour because it's a need in our community.
Becky, are you a statement or are you a question?
Well, it's a question. What are we doing to address those issues? Not buying down and bringing small business into downtown. All those things are great, but what are we doing to help the current population of Jefferson that is struggling to live here and afford things that are being outpriced? I get it. Money, taxes, all those things matter, but what are we doing to help the people in our community that are struggling to live here?
I can't answer a lot of this, Beck, but what I can say is that there are programs out there. There is the food pantry, of course. There are Manna Mondays. There are get your ready set your kids to school, to pack the bus. Christmas neighbors, thank you. There are programs. There really are programs. Can we expand on those? Probably, but I don't have your immediate answer for you.
I think it's a broad question that everybody needs to address.
Yep. Scott Obenberger again. I think that one of the biggest problems we have right now is we're putting a lot of our chips on corporate investment, and we're not putting enough on housing. one of the things that concerns me a great deal, and maybe I'm just old and I'm out of touch, but when people are telling me that starter homes are now at $350,000 or $400,000, I don't know where they're starting from, but it's clearly not my personal background. We need to do more to encourage developers to come in and build homes and places that people can actually afford, who are middle class and lower middle class. I'm not talking about low-income housing. I'm talking about market rate housing, but market rate that people can afford. Not every house needs to have a quartz countertop. Not every house needs to have 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. I mean, sometimes, you know, that good old-fashioned 3-bedroom, 1-bath house is just fine. That's what I grew up in. Granted, I bet my parents could pull their hair out half the time about the fact that we were all trying to coordinate in 1 bathroom. Not at the same time. But we need to have houses and homes that people can afford, whether they're people who are making $20 an hour or $15 an hour. And we need to do a better job of that. We need to do a better job of finding those developers who are willing to invest in our community and invest in quite honestly, a population group that oftentimes is overlooked. And I do think that that's something that we need to take more seriously. How we do that, I'm going to have to learn that as we go, because I think there are developers out there that we need to work with. But when we're talking about only building homes that are $400,000 or $500,000, it may look really nice for the tax base, but it doesn't really help those people who are falling through the cracks and who are basically providing the services that all the rest of us benefit from.
Corby Stallman. I guess I'll echo what the other two said. We need affordable housing. I said before that I want this to be a destination place, a place for young families to come and live. I mean, Jefferson's perfect for that. Can we answer that definitively in 5 minutes at a council meeting? No. So we can dig into it, we can look into it. That's part of making it a destination place to live. But I don't think it's something we can answer in 2 minutes or 3 minutes at a forum.
Yeah, I agree with affordable housing. With the food pantry, I mean, if we can be looking into grants or, you know, different things like that. We sell a lot to Second Harvest, so I mean, we supply some of the products that are coming into our community, and we discount it at as cheap as we can. So that's something that my business does a lot. I mean, it's millions of pounds a year that goes into Second Harvest in Madison. But that's not directly helping us, but it does help the communities around us. So, I mean, I know there's grants out there for that type of thing, but I don't know how to fix it right now, but it's something that I would definitely be willing to dive into. It means a lot to me, is helping the community.
Pat Rice, the first thing I want to say is I will definitely come down and see what the food pantry is doing. First to see, you know, the good work that you're doing, but also to get a better sense of that myself. You know, I think when I was 15 years old and we were having a hamburger helper at our house 5 nights a week, I had a better sense of that than I do now that I'm retired and doing okay. So I will definitely come down, if only to learn. Affordable housing is a critical issue, and it's not just for Jefferson. It's a critical issue that transcends the entire country. You know, it's the gap between the very well-off and everybody else has only grown. And I'm not saying that as a Republican thing or a Democrat thing or an independent thing. It's just a thing. And it's here in Jefferson as well as anywhere else. But it is a really critical issue. We're not a community of, you know, this is a working class community, I think, in a lot of measures. I don't think that we want to become a bedroom community where everybody goes, you know, east or west on the interstate every day. So it's a really critical issue, and it's one that we need to address. And even if we do, it's still going to be a critical issue because it's not a snap your fingers fix. Thank you.
All right, I think in the interest of time, at 9 o'clock, we have time for one more question. Anybody else has anything they'd like to ask?
He's offering one more, I'll keep it, I'll be done.
No, I just, when you say affordable housing, you see the signs at Nestle, $25 an hour, $20 an hour. The average work year is 2,000 hours a year. That times $20 is not enough to probably rent half the apartments around here. And the developers that come here are in the business of making money. So who are you gonna get to come here to make, what, for the prices today will be like a huh, I just think about that. You talked about the 3-bedroom. We had 7 of us that lived in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom, and we made it. We had a kitchen table a kitchen that you couldn't, we all sat around the table, you could not get out until, you couldn't get the ketchup out if you forgot about it, because that's the way it was. But that's not how your next generation is being raised. They're not going to be content. And we do see that those houses are being sold. We couldn't have bought those, but I just don't know how you fix that.
There was a statement more so than a question. Thank you, Lynn, for that part.
Okay, we'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. Thank you to our church council, our mayor candidates, and our school board candidates that joined us this evening. We did have, city council, I'm sorry. It's been a long day when you start your work at 8 a.m. at the chamber, and it's now 9 p.m. I'm a little tired and hungry. We did have a bit of an outage on our live stream, and we anticipated that. However, Jefferson Community TV is recording the whole thing. As soon as we get that recording in the next few days, we will be reposting that onto our Facebook page so that everyone who did not see it this evening can see it. I'll also put a link to it into the chamber newsletter. So if you don't currently subscribe to the Jefferson Area Chamber of Commerce newsletter, please feel free to do so. Again, I want to thank everyone who came tonight, Iron Video Productions for giving us their equipment, Jefferson TV, the library, and most importantly, all of you for showing up and coming here tonight. And for those people who couldn't join us tonight and your friends, your family members that have questions, I encourage all of you, the election is not until April 7th. You have plenty of time to reach out to our city council members, our mayoral candidates, and our school board and ask questions so you can get the answers that you're looking for so that you are making an informed decision for our community. Thank you again for joining us tonight. God bless you.
Good things already. Oh, no.